Morty! Morty!
Rick?
Hey, Morty!
Rick? Are you far away or are you inside something? Is this a camera? Is everything a camera?
Morty! The garage, Morty! Come to the garage! Morty!
Rick? Where are you?
On my workbench, Morty!
Are you invisible and you're gonna like fart on me?
Flip the pickle over.
What? I'm gonna touch it and you're gonna tell me it's an alien or something.
Come on, flip the pickle, Morty. You're not gonna regret it. The payoff is huge. I turned myself into a pickle, Morty! Boom! Big reveal. I'm a pickle. What do you think about that? I turned myself into a pickle! What are you just staring at me for, bro? I turned myself into a pickle, Morty.
Just because most people love something doesn't mean everybody does. Art is subjective. Sometimes there are bad reviews for good games, and that's okay. But just know we gonna make content out of it. And today, we talking about The Legend of Zelda, The Tears of the Kingdom. Let's go. So we're gonna be doing something a little bit different for this video. Since Tears of the Kingdom is a console exclusive game, we're not gonna be able to look at those Steam reviews. So instead, we're gonna have to head on over to a very reputable, world-renowned website known as Metacritic. Now, we're not going to look at the professional critic reviews because we don't care what they have to say. We're going over to that user score because we want to hear what the people have to say. Specifically, people who dislike this game, which at the current moment, there's over 500 negative reviews. So let's see what kind of fun we can get into. And it looks like we didn't have to scroll very far. The first one comes from DFG3. He says, this game is basically a giant DLC for Breath of the Wild. I didn't care for the original when it came out. I found it to be quite boring and repetitive with a very lackluster story that I just couldn't bring myself to care about. Tears of the Kingdom is unfortunately the same game regifted under a different title. The cel-shaded graphics are nice to look at, I guess. That's about it. The most praise you're gonna get from me. Fun fact, you're actually right. This game, for those unaware, was actually supposed to be DLC for Breath of the Wild. But I guess during development, they said in an interview that they had so many unique and interesting ideas that they felt like it could be its own game, so they decided to flush it out and it became its own game known as Tears of the Kingdom. I get what he's saying when he says that, oh, this is just a giant piece of DLC, because from the outside looking in, it does look like that. But since I've played it, I feel like there's enough new here that I understand why they made it its own game. Yes, it is similar to Breath of the Wild because it's pretty much a sequel to it, so it's gonna be similar. That's the foundation, and they're building upon the foundation. That's what a sequel is, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't complain that Batman Arkham City was similar to Arkham Asylum. No, because you like that game. I disagree with him because he's putting a negative connotation behind the whole DLC thing. I feel like the building mechanic alone in Tears of the Kingdom is so unique and different that it warranted it being its own game. Have you guys seen some of the stuff that they have made on Twitter? If you haven't, go on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere, and just look up, people are making mechs. They're making planes, drones. Like, this game is only limited by your imagination. And I can understand why people don't like the game because you lack imagination. So I would disagree with this review. All right, so our next review, we're not going very far. We're going right here to Neardo Wolf. He gave it a 1 out of 10, and he said, first of all, I didn't like Breath of the Wild. You're the second person that I've read say that. If you didn't like Breath of the Wild, I don't know why y'all played Tears of the Kingdom. Like, visually, it looks similar to Breath of the Wild, which should indicate it's probably going to be like Breath of the Wild. I don't know the thought process behind that. I don't know what they're teaching in school anymore, but I've been preaching about it on social media. We really need to bring critical thinking back, because I'm a solutions guy, right? One of the reasons why I feel like people are so stupid nowadays is because we don't encourage critical thinking. I think debate club or like debate class, it needs to be in every school. And I put a tweet out about that actually, and somebody was like, oh, that'd be stupid because people wouldn't be able to handle these heavy topics and da-da-da. Like, so I was in a debate club. Debate club is not necessarily about debating all heavy topics. Like, you can debate anime, you can debate video games. It doesn't have to be politics and religion. Like, why does your brain go straight to that? And the fact that they even said that further proves that maybe we need to introduce debate club and classes back into school, because you lack critical thinking when all you think about when you hear the word debate is politics and religion. We can debate anything. It can be fun. The point of the exercise is to improve critical thinking and also be able to communicate with somebody without disrespecting them and trying to understand where people are coming from. I dropped the gem. It's up to you whether or not you want to pick it up. Anyways, speaking of critical thinking, the only reason I wanted to highlight this review, I went on a whole tangent. The only reason I wanted to highlight this review was because he called it basically Zelda with Minecraft. And like, that's how I know I'm getting old, because my brain, the way I would have said Zelda with like Legos, but then I was like, yeah, I guess the kids kind of more associate with Minecraft or like Fortnite these days when it comes to like building. But then the other funny part about this review is he says, I don't care about the buddy I lost, but more now that I have to wait some more years for a real Zelda. Zelda. So apparently when they give you the tools to create whatever you want to defeat Ganon, it's not a real Zelda. A real Zelda purist says that you can only use the Master Sword and the Hyrule Sword. By his logic, I don't know, Ocarina of Time is not a real Zelda because he had boots that made him sink to the bottom of the damn ocean, and he had a mirror shield that reflected shit. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's okay. Just say you don't like the game. That's okay. That is okay. And just leave it at that. It's not for you. Oh, what a fucking build. All this engineering and shit. I gotta think. Our boy B-Cube gave it a 0 out of 10, and he says, it's largely the same as Breath of the Wild. Some new features and areas, but not enough to warrant $70. Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild, is Miles Morales is PS4 Spider-Man. I completely disagree with that because Miles Morales PS4. I see where he was trying to go with that, but Miles Morales PS4 Spider-Man, that game is like 6 hours long. Tears of the Kingdom, like people's average playthroughs, I think they said it takes like 60 hours, but most people are spending like 100+ hours. I was just talking about it to a friend the other day. I was like, yo, I feel bad for whoever got this game early and they had to review it, like all the publications, because like every single one of them said they spent like 100 hours. Like, imagine having to rush through this game trying to get that review out day one. So him comparing it to Miles Morales is completely unfair. If the average person is putting 100 hours into the game, that means there's more than enough content to indulge in. There's so many creative things that you can do in this game, and Miles Morales is only 666. Yo, I sound like I was worshiping the devil. What the fuck was that? Yo, I need y'all to fucking light that like button on fire, baby. I didn't know. Yo, I don't know where my brain went. But yeah, comparing it to Miles Morales when it's only 6 hours long and this game has over 100 hours of content is completely unfair. Once again, just say the game is not for you. That's completely fine with me. I will say there's some merit in his criticism. He says at the end of this review, only rating is a 0 to counteract an all right, so he gave it a 0. He doesn't really think it's a 0 out of 10. He says, I gave it a 0 out of 10 to stick it to you Nintendo fanboys who wear Luigi hats, giving it a 10 despite it being mostly the same thing and having next-gen pricing for 20 FPS 720p. Now that's where I think it's fair. Like, I wouldn't give it a 0 out of 10. But this game does have performance issues, and like I talked about it on the last GI podcast, youtube.com/GI updates, best gaming podcast in the world. I talked about it. I do feel like there is a bias towards Nintendo, and this is coming from somebody who grew up a Nintendo kid. Nintendo's always gonna have a special place in my heart. I'm always gonna play Nintendo games, but I do feel like in the media and in terms of fans, there's a bias towards Nintendo. It's time for a Switch Pro. I get Nintendo's not trying to keep up with the latest visuals, and they shouldn't have to. They're the creative company, right? But at bare minimum, you should serve something to your customers that's comprehensible. And like that frame rate be dropping like a motherfucker in the game. That is a 100% complete valid argument. And for people to act like that's not an issue, like we're talking about like a 6-year-old piece of hardware, I'm calling it out. Whenever the Switch 2, Switch Pro comes out, they're probably gonna remaster Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild and put it in as like a bundle, like play the definitive version at 60 FPS, even though you can already play the definitive version of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's on PC, allegedly. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But if you want to play it at 60 FPS, you can. Not gonna tell you how, because I don't want the Nintendo Yakuza busting into my house. Yo, I ain't gonna hold you. This got to be one of the easiest bad reviews for good games that I've done, because like I am not having to scroll far to find some funny ass reviews. We scroll down just a little bit further, the one down. Coolpin6 gave it a 4 out of 10, and he said, be warned. This game is far more difficult than Breath of the Wild. I've been stuck on one boss for hours with no food. So basically you suck at the fucking game and you gave it a 4 out of 10. Sounds like a serious skill issue. But you know how I know it's a skill issue? Because I'm playing this game and never once have I ran out of food. Food is everywhere. There's literally there's trees all around. And there's apples on those goddamn trees. You didn't shake none of them. You didn't knock none of them down. There's mushrooms everywhere. This man is not crafting any recipes. This is 100% a skill issue. You gave it a 4 out of 10. This is a fine example of what I mean when I say it's important to not just look at the score, but also read the review. It's one of the reasons why I've never scored games. I always say buy, wait till the price drops, or rent, or just like skip it. And if it's really bad, I say fuck it. Because when you put a number up, people get so caught up in that, oh, this is a 4 out of 10. Like somebody really read this shit, 4 out of 10, this shit is fucking garbage, bro. Read what he says. Because what I'm reading is skill issue. So once again, I don't gotta scroll too far for the next one. It comes from Nada004, and he gives it a 2 out of 10. I wanted to highlight this one because I could feel the emotion in this review. Let me get into character for this one. absolutely disappointed. I can feel this man like clutching his Luigi hat as he fucking. No, I can feel him because you know Link wears the little Minish cap. I can feel him clutching his Minish cap as he typed this. It seems Nintendo did the bare minimum to appease classic Zelda fans. They wouldn't even give us legit dungeons. The biggest ask, and they didn't even deliver that. Sure, the world's good, but that's because it's Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's world completely reused, and Breath of the Wild world was good to begin with. I understand it's a sequel, but the reuse of assets is crazy. It's quite easy to see Nintendo focus. God damn, I ain't reading all that shit. All right, let's find another. Like, god damn, bro, just fucking turn the game. I ain't reading that goddamn chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter no, thank you. Now, over here on my channel, you know I'm all about representation. I'm all about making sure everybody's voice is heard. And on a previous video, I highlighted a gentleman that left a review in Russian. I think it was on the Tekken 7 video. We found a review that's in Spanish, I believe. So I figured, why not? Let's just copy and paste this. I know I look Dominican, but I'm not. I do not read or speak Spanish. So we're gonna go on over to Google Translate and let's see what this review says. So according to Irella, they say, honestly, I was hoping for a better installment than the last one. Unfortunately, the game is performing very badly with frame drops in certain areas. Gave it a 0 out of 10. It does have frame drops. I'm not mad at this. This is actually a reasonable. Well, I don't know if I agree with the 0 out of 10, but the person wasn't mean. He or she wasn't mean, so I'm not gonna be mad at that one. So to this review, I say C. All right, so our next review comes from Mario999. He gave it a 0 out of 10 and he said, I just can't believe that some reviewers rate a game on a Switch a 96 out of 100 with graphics from 20 years ago. That's not even funny anymore. In 2023, playing a 500 pixel, what is that? The frame rate's dropping? For me, that's unplayable in 2023. For me, the graphics are not even that important, but this is just embarrassing. We have phones with 4,000 pixels almost, and there you have it. The GameCube had better graphics. If Zelda has a 96, then Horizon Forbidden West is a 300. Damn, he said Horizon Forbidden West is Chief Keef. I already know this dude is nerdy as hell. Our iPhones have over 4,000 pixels. I can barely get what he's like. Yo, my thing is like, all right, check it out, right? With the graphics part, right? There's no way for us to predict the frame rate, but the graphics, we've been seeing the graphics since they announced it for like the last 2 or 3 years. So like, why does that surprise you? It's a handheld that's 6 years old. So like the graphics are like, it is what it is, but the frame rate's valid. But I'm not gonna lie, bro, this dude, hey, touch grass, dude, you sound a little too angry for me. There's plenty of games to play. We got games coming out like Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Jedi Survivor just came out. There's plenty of games to play, man. Fucking relax. This man's in the comment section of Metacritic dropping how many megapixels his Galaxy S23 has, because this is definitely an Android owner. My fucking phone has a fucking 8,000 milliamp battery in it, and I just don't understand how the Switch only has a 2,000. I'm like, God, ew. Fucking chill. So my man Chris J8 gave it a 4 out of 10 and he says, you wake up after a grave injury and are given access to a futuristic tool. In order to unlock the powers of the tool, you must travel around a tutorial area that you can't leave and complete shrines. You're guided by the ghost of a regal figure of the past who had direct contact with the main villain. Now, before you get what you need, you have to find a shrine on a cold mountain. In order to do so, you must find cold-resistant materials in order to survive. Now the question is, ladies and gentlemen, so am I reviewing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? Yo, the only reason I highlighted this joint is, the way he positioned this. Valid point, by the way, valid point. But I only highlighted this one. I'm not mad at your opinion. It's just the way he positioned this. So now that I've let you know what happened to the tutorial area, am I reviewing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? In my head, I imagine the Riddler from Batman. I'm like, is this the Riddler writing this shit? Yeah, shut the fuck up, right? This man took this shit away. This man is sitting there with his cane and his fucking outfit, with his green ass outfit, the bright shit with the question marks all over. So riddle me this. Am I playing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? Very snarky. I just wanted to highlight it because it made me laugh. You're entitled to your opinion, Chris. It doesn't make me bad. I appreciate the laugh though. So I wanted to highlight this review from Sarissa, who gave it a 4 out of 10, and they said, much has already been said. Nintendo believed their own propaganda, and they paid for it back in 2017. What propaganda are you talking about, dude? The Minish Cap propaganda? What the fuck? talking about? This is why this game is what it is. And now, after they bought reviews for Tears of the Kingdom again, I don't know what the fuck this is. But anyways, the only reason I wanted to highlight this review is because I'm so tired of this discourse. And now, after they bought reviews for Tears of the Kingdom, as somebody who's been reviewing games for a really long time, I gotta say, I've never been paid for a review. I don't know anybody who's been paid for a review. And one of the beautiful things about the internet is it's given a voice to people to create what they're referring to as like new media, like YouTubers and TikTokers and IGers and stuff like that. You don't have to go to traditional television media. Matter of fact, it's kind of going by the wayside, right? New media has taken over. The internet has given a voice to the voiceless. The unfortunate thing about the internet is it also has given a voice to the village idiot. You know, when I was a kid, the internet was like brand new, and it was kind of, I want to say it was a luxury. Most people did not have the internet. We still went outside. So what I'm trying to say is the village idiot was still, even when I was a kid, the village idiot was contained to your neighborhood. Whatever dumb shit he was saying, only you heard about it. But 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks down, another state, another city, another country, you didn't hear about it, right? But like the internet has given a voice to the village idiot. And like one of the things that I really hate about the internet is people don't use critical thinking. Just because somebody likes something does not mean they were paid off. It means they have a different opinion than you. Now, are there some people that have been paid off? That's possible, but there's no way to prove that. In terms of probability though, most people are not paid off. They just genuinely like the game. And for your brain to go to everybody's paid off, everybody's fake, I'm real. If everybody's the problem, and fuck video games, right? If everybody's the problem with whatever you're talking about, most likely you're the problem. There's no reason to go to any I'm so fucking real. Like, no, you're not, dude. You're just lonely. You're socially mediocre because you can't critically think and you just go to these extreme answers. It's okay that you don't like the game. And I'm not even specifically talking about this person. I'm just using this person as an example. Y'all gotta stop accusing people of stop going to these extreme answers. There's this thing called demographics. Sometimes, wait for it, sometimes you're not the demographic. The world does not revolve around you. That's another gem. Feel free to pick it up if you want to. So our next review comes from DJ, who rated the game a 0 out of 10, and he went on to say, I spent 7 hours looking for the 4th shrine to progress the game. I ended up looking it up on YouTube, and when I saw the solution, I parted with my copy of the game. Utterly ridiculous. Now, I need to know, what does this mean right here? I parted with my copy of the game. Does that mean you just turned it off? Because in my brain, I got an imagination. When I hear I parted with my game, I hear he snapped it in half, he threw it out a window, he just gave it away to GameStop. He said, I don't even want no trade-in credit. Not that you was gonna give me any, because all you gotta do is rob people. But I parted with my copy of the game is wild. This man is upset. He goes on to say, it also felt like Minecraft in parts, where I was constantly building just to move from point A to B. I hate Minecraft and I despise crafting in games, so this was another tick in the wrong box. I'm not gonna lie, I've always loved Legos. I don't like Minecraft, but I've always loved Legos. I never liked Minecraft because of the graphics. I always thought that shit was weird. But I've always loved Legos, so I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, oh, you don't like building stuff? Whatever. The controls are also confusing as fuck. That's valid. I completely agree with that. The controls that's one of my critiques of the game. The controls in this game are ass. And just because you get used to how ass the controls are, doesn't change the fact that controls are ass. Just because you learn to tolerate something doesn't mean it make it good. I completely agree with that. There are too many, and I found myself getting completely lost with the myriad of options available and pressing the wrong button over and over again. A massive letdown. Breath of the Wild was a masterpiece. This sequel? It's just another joke. Vulgario gave it a 2 out of 10, and he goes on to say, the tutorial zone is much too long and difficult. It doesn't motivate me to continue. I'm close to giving up on the game altogether if it's this brutal. Breath of the Wild was much more accessible. I'm not gonna lie, I do agree that I felt like the tutorial section is a little bit too long, but at the same time, like, you can't really review a game if you didn't make it at the tutorial area. This feels less like a review, and this feels more like just like a venting section. Like, this shit's too long, but like, it's not a review, dude. You didn't get out of the tutorial. What are you talking about, bro? M. Lega Cure gave it a 0 out of 10, and he said, very boring garbage game, absolute trash. I didn't like it, and I don't think you will either. Save your money. First of all, listen, this review is a prime example of what we be talking about on the podcast. I really need people to expand your vocabulary. Very boring garbage game, absolute trash. Like, why? Like, did you not like the building mechanic? Did you feel like the tutorial area wasn't great, or did you feel like the controls? Like, we need you to specify. You know, the crazy part is 43 out of 65 users found this to be helpful. So the people who are leaving negative reviews, they're going and they're upvoting everybody else who are leaving negative reviews, like just like a hate army going on, trashing the game. But you're just like, yo, the game's trash. I need you to articulate why, because this review is trash. This is not it. I'm a-okay with people disliking the game, because at the end of the day, art is subjective. It does not make me upset that you don't like the game. Hell, this is not even my favorite Zelda, but you got to articulate why. You don't want to ever leave people ammo to basically, you know, get you the fuck up out of here. Like, you gave me ammo because you're just like garbage, trash, doo-doo, butt butter. So the next review comes from the Naked Snake BR, and he gives it a 4 out of 10. He goes on to say, same map. It's not a bad game, but it's a lazy game carried by journalists. It lacks innovation. This dude is definitely the person that be in the comment section of every IGN video, swearing up and down he hates gaming journalists, but he continues to watch all their videos. He's the same person that's in all the reviews of IGN videos talking about 7 out of 10, too much water, which is in reference to that old Pokemon review. That was funny like years ago when it first happened, but it's not funny now. So for you to sit up here and say this game lacks innovation, your review lacks innovation. But you know what doesn't lack innovation? Today's sponsor, Holskern. Today's video is sponsored by Holskern. Holskern is a lifestyle brand that specializes in high-end watches for men and women. The materials they utilize range from wood to leather and stainless steel. Regardless of what type of watch you choose from them, your peers will know what time it is when they see you rocking that Holskern watch. But check it out, that's not all they have to offer. They sell jewelry as well. I am a big fan of their bracelets. Jewelry and cologne are the key to taking your fit to the next level. Their bracelets are amazing looking, and they will make you feel like a Giga Chad. I also love the fact that a healthy number of their bracelets they offer are waterproof, so you don't have to worry about that 7 out of 10 having too much water. I highly suggest tapping the link in the description box below and heading over to Holskern's site to see what they have to offer. Just do me a favor and be sure to use code Hokage15 at checkout to receive a 15% discount on your next order. Yo, this has got to be the most confusing negative review that I've seen. Hunzi gave it a 4 out of 10, and he says, 10 days before its official release, there was a cracked version available online. Now he's talking about that PC version that I was referencing earlier, which was a huge loss for players like us who spent money on cassette tapes. This developer made a big mistake, which is unforgivable. Now, Nintendo didn't purposely put it out. Somebody leaked it. Somebody with malicious intent leaked the game online, so you can't call it a big mistake. You can't control that. Stuff gets leaked all the time because there are evildoers out there. But I don't understand how this is a huge loss for players. Like, did you catch a spoiler on YouTube or something? Because you don't. Here's the thing, guys, you don't have to watch the content. I'm confused how the cracked version that got online ruined your experience if you didn't have to play it, other than maybe like a spoiler. That's the only thing. But the thing is, he didn't say that. You need to specify it. And then once again, 39 people found this review to be helpful. How is this helpful? Y'all just you're literally on the internet just slamming your head against the keyboard, just typing random shit that doesn't even make any fucking sense, bruh. This review is a 4 out of 10. This don't make no goddamn sense. So Garamari gave it a 4 out of 10, and I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the best review that I've read so far, and they said, this game makes me despise Nintendo. It's honestly the best Zelda game ever made. They thoroughly enjoy it. But it runs terribly on the Switch. I completely agree. It's clear to me that Nintendo's hindering the creativity of their own developers by refusing to make decent consoles. I agree. Whether it's maliciously, like they're doing it on purpose, or they're just being lazy, we don't know. But by them not releasing a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro, it holds the developers back. They have to develop with one arm tied behind their back, which fucks with their creativity, and the people who produce the game and we the consumers suffer because the suits, the bigwigs at the top who are just on the internet sniping anybody who plays the cracked version of the game. They're too busy trying to crack down on people who do that instead of putting out a new console. So I agree with that. They say my advice is to steer clear and hope that Nintendo Nintendo makes a console this game can actually run on. This is just downright insufferable performance, and you can tell the developers really tried their hardest to deliver the best game they could, but in the end couldn't do the impossible. This is just tragic. This is actually a very loud, logical, and sound review. Like he said, despite his issues with the game, he can see the developers tried their best to work with the hardware, but the big suits at Nintendo will not put out a new piece of hardware that can run the game properly. Like, yo, it sounds goofy as hell, but for those of you unaware, the best version of Breath of the Wild and the best version of Tears of the Kingdom is on PC. The visuals are better, the frame rate is better. How do you play it? I don't know. Use Google, Bing. I don't know. ChatGPT. I don't know. I would never let you know if I did, allegedly. But that's a problem. Nintendo, why are your best played games on PC? That's wild. You should want it to be on your platform, and you're losing sales because of it. Because why would people who can play it on PC for free, by the way, emulating it, run it better at 1440p, 4K, 60 FPS, why would they play it on a fucking 720p screen at 22 frames per second? Y'all are fucking y'all own money up. But hey, I'm just saying. Which is the name of my second YouTube channel. Link in the description box below. I might have found one of the worst reviews. It comes from Slim Tim, who gave it a 0 out of 10. And he said, this is just another Souls-like game. Dark Souls is just going around and making every game unplayable for people like me, one series at a time. I'm curious to know what other series he feels like Dark Souls ruined besides Zelda. Once the game puts you into the rest of the world, it becomes a game running around aimlessly trying to find the path you can actually progress on, which I never found before getting too bored to care anymore. Now, I can understand being frustrated with the big open world. I was getting a little frustrated too, but once I figured things out, I was like, all right, whatever. Saying Dark Souls ruined Zelda is like, did your arm hurt from that stretch? From that reach? What the hell does First of all, I think he's referencing Elden Ring, because Elden Ring is the big open world one, not Dark Souls. So I think he's trying to argue Elden Ring has ruined gaming as a whole. But then even still, that's a weird argument, because that game came out February of 2022, which was just last year. It wasn't too long ago. And now you're saying every game is ruined because of it? This was in development before Elden Ring even came out. Keep in mind, this is built off of Breath of the Wild, which was a big open world game. Did you play that one? You lost me on this one. Also, mechanically, it doesn't play anything like Dark Souls. It plays like Zelda. Like, the combat is pretty easy in my opinion. It's like, I don't even understand, like, if you think Zelda's hard, yeah, you might not want to play a Dark Souls game. Not gonna lie. Faraz Al-Bahari gave it a 0 out of 10, and he went on to say, trash, so trash. And then after he typed that out, he just basically slammed his head on the keyboard just nonstop and said, he got like electrocuted. Yo, I got a headache, bro. What the fuck? So as you can see, not everybody loves Tears of the Kingdom, and that's okay. We don't all have to like the same thing. Matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say that some of the criticisms were valid in my opinion. I felt like the way y'all scored the game was a little extreme, but they were valid criticisms nonetheless. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there were also some stupid opinions, like the person that said Dark Souls ruined Zelda. What the hell does Dark Souls have to do with Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know. Y'all let me know. What I do know is that I also produced a video on everything wrong with Elden Ring. And if you want another good laugh on a good game with some bad reviews, check out my video on everything wrong with Elden Ring. Click the card right there, please. I need some watch time.